Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tech Bubble. Uh, Back with your host Asir as well as Jawad. And today we have another really special guest with us. His name is Aradhya and he is currently a step intern at Google.
So Aradhya, do you want to walk us through your background and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So, as Asir mentioned, I'm currently a step intern at Google, and I'm also a software engineering and business dual degree student at the University of Western Ontario. Um, I would just say about myself that I love technology, and I've really found a passion for it in a more niche space, I think. And while I've always also been passionate about technology, I do also have a passion for business administration and strategy, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to pursue this dual degree option. I'm having a great time in my internship, and I think there's just a lot of different ways I can go about my career in the future at this point. I'm just trying to navigate this really crazy space and trying to figure it all out. And I'm really happy to be here, guys. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, so we'll segue a bit into our next question. So you mentioned you're currently at university. So how's your experience been so far as a whole, and what are some pivotal moments that you found to be during your university career?
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. So my experience as a whole, I mean, overall, I'd say it's been really positive and it's really, shifted a lot of the ways that I think I see the world. I think that before coming to university, I just didn't really have the exposure. I mean, in high school, I just played basketball all day and I was just like chilling and, I wasn't really thinking about the bigger picture in a lot of things. But when I came to university and I actually met so many like-minded individuals and got the chance to more explore, my passions and understand better what's actually possible for, me in terms of a career and for me in terms of just like my personal life, I think it made me more ambitious and more willing to just try new things. Honestly, coming into university, I always thought I was going to end up as like a mechanical engineer. And I think that's because like I always sort of knew I wanted to be an engineer growing up, but I just didn't really know what engineering was, like I just thought of like cars and like buildings and that kind of stuff. And like mechanical engineering just seemed like just the prototypical engineering. But then what happened when I came in first year, I actually joined a club, and in that club, we got the chance to work on basically like starting a company. That was like the entire idea behind the club. We were a team of like 6 kids, and they were like, okay, software is really cool, so like maybe you should use this as a tool to like try starting a company, because starting companies is like a really great way to like contribute to the world. And we were all just like, oh, that sounds like really cool, really fun. But the majority of us actually had no experience in software development. So I think it was really pivotal for me to be able to be, thrown into the fire of that, kind of be told like, all right, figure it out, learn whatever you need to sort of like start building this web app, come up with a business strategy here. What kind of things do you actually want to start building? And to actually start doing that, we had a couple more experienced members on the team, so I was able to learn a lot from them. And I think that also showed me how important it is to be humble, to not have an ego when it comes to learning, because I feel like maybe in high school more, I was a little bit more confident in myself, in the sense of like I felt like I can do things myself. But it was really pivotal for me to come to like university and like realize, like I am definitely not the smartest person in the room. And there's so much for me to learn from every single person here. And I've just been leveraging that to be able to learn more and just like, move forward in things that I want to grow in. And I think that after I, in first year sort of had that experience with that club, I took on a greater leadership role in that club in my second year. And that was also a really big paradigm shift for me in the past year, because I was sort of like, managing a lot of people who were just as smart as me and literally my age. And it gave me a really great sense, I think, of what leadership actually means. There was a lot of imposter syndrome, sort of associated with having that role at an early age. But I think what it showed me was that leadership does not mean like being the one who has the answer every time. Leadership literally means being the one who gives everybody the opportunity to do what they do best and doing everything you can to empower others. Like you do not need to be the person who can be the one giving all the answers. You need to be decisive, and you need to be somebody that people can look up to. But more important than anything is just being somebody who can empower others. And that was a really big sort of paradigm shift for me as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really like cool to see how you touch on the mechanical engineering part, because I'm not sure about Jawad, but for me, like when I was going into uni, I did not know what I was doing at all. Like I was like, am I gonna like be a doctor? Am I gonna like do finance? Like I literally don't know what I'm gonna do. So I just chose engineering on a hunch because yeah, similar to you, it like seemed pretty cool. Like when I saw a car, I was like, oh yeah, like I could probably make that in the future. So let's choose Eng. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. So I'm happy with the choice, and yeah, it's pretty cool to see like you sort of had like a similar trajectory when coming into Western Stats. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, just to build on that, is I had a similar experience. All my brothers were like going in business and stuff, so they're like really into that stuff. And then I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I always like computers, so I'm like, let me go into computer engineering. And then it was like very hard at first, and then I'm like, all right. But like you said, when you meet like-minded people, they help you out, you help each other out, you grow as a team. So that was really, really helpful, especially in such a difficult field to be a part of. So yeah, so just like going on to our next question, how did you go like about learning these new things in like software development, like learning a new language, learning how to build a web app? I know you touched on a little bit, if you want to dive in a little bit more deeper.
For sure. Yeah, that's interesting. I think for everybody, first getting started in this field is like super challenging. It feels like the learning curve is so high, and it is, and it feels like everybody knows so much more than you, and you feel like, why did I not start programming when I was 7-year-old? Like, why can I not be like Mark Zuckerberg, right? And I think that at the very beginning, I was definitely overwhelmed by that. I was feeling imposter syndrome constantly. Every time I would start working on, like a new Udemy course or like try to do my own project, I'd come across like a very basic thing that I didn't know the answer to, and end up going down like a rabbit hole of like, oh, I need to use like HTTP here. Okay, what's HTTP? Oh, how did this start? How did like the internet start? And like, what is this? And like, then I'm like trying to become like a computer networking god, and I'm just like trying to use the HTTP protocol. So I think that at the very beginning, it was overwhelming in that sense. But how I ended up going about it was I started just asking more questions. Like I realized that it's okay to ask questions, even when you feel like they're dumb questions. And there is no such thing as a dumb question. Mark Zuckerberg at one point asked somebody like, what does an if statement actually do? What's a for loop? What's a while loop? And just like the very basic things, and understanding when to use those things and in what context. So once I started to get more, guidance and more mentorship from people who did know a lot more than me, I started to feel more confident in myself to actually start doing more things and to start exploring more things. And what that led to, that led to actually finishing like a Udemy course, building the project that they suggest building in the tutorial. And once you get more familiar with, I think, what you can do with tutorials and everything, then I started to branch out and start just working on my own projects. I think that's like the most important stage to get to when learning, is you want to get to the point where you feel comfortable enough, like deciding like, I want to build this, and you can just start Googling things. Because there's something called like, like tutorial hell, right? Where you just get into this state of, you feel like you're learning, but you just copy paste like everything that tutorial is showing you. So I think that after I'd gone through a few courses, got more guidance, and sort of just made the decision like, okay, this time I'm just going to try doing it myself. It's never going to be easy making that decision, because it's going to be hard. Like you're going to like not know a lot of stuff, but sort of just make that decision, start working on like your own sort of project. And I started doing this in parallel with, the web app we were building in first year. So I could be learning on my own time. And when you start doing that, I feel like that's when you just start going down these rabbit holes that are actually productive, and you start learning more, and you become more comfortable building then the second web app, the third web app, the fourth web app, and not just web apps, like more anything in software development. Like the key is just getting to the point where you're comfortable Googling things. That's what I've learned.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think what you said is so relatable. Like I can relate so much to that. Like initially you're just, like, what are you, like HTTP, like you said, like you don't know what that is, and then you just keep on going, and then you don't understand the next thing, and then it's just such overwhelming there. And and like you said, finding guidance and stuff is very important. Like I was fortunate enough that in my first co-op, I got a very hands-on experience. Like everyone, like they're giving me a lot of work to do. So that really helped me guide in to become more like become what I am today. So I feel like have finding mentors and like, you know, asking people for help is a very, very important thing in this field.
100%. Yeah. You just like sometimes got to get thrown into the fire, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just gotta be like, yeah, for sure. Like get overwhelmed and then ask help, and then you just you can go from there for sure.
Yeah, so I guess we'll transition a bit more out of the tech and programming stuff and a bit more into networking. So from, I guess, what are some of your thoughts on networking, and based on your experience, how beneficial have you found it to be to yourself?
Interesting. All right. So first, let's start with thoughts on networking. So networking, I feel like gets a bad rep sometimes in some groups, because networking a lot of times sounds like, oh, I'm just going to like sort of meet people, talk to people, and like use them in some way. That's what like networking is to a lot of people. And I think that's really not true. And that when you sort of think of, you know, networking is important and that you should be doing networking, you should not be thinking about how you can use another person. You should be thinking about how you can build genuine relationships with other people, how you can first ask yourself how you can provide value to them. And then down the road, because you have a genuine relationship with this person, you're going to just continue helping each other. You know, it's a mutual relationship. And I think a lot of people, that's like another reason why people, you know, are afraid to network or don't really want to, because they feel like I might end up like taking advantage of somebody might end up taking advantage of me. But I think if you go into it with the mindset of just wanting to build genuine relationships, wanting to learn, that's when you start to truly network and really get the most out of meeting new people. Yeah, so like networking, I think is very important. For me, it's played a really important role in being able to, you know, get the internships I've had in the past. So for example, my Google internship, I had an internal referral to like get this role. So, and that was like so important because Google literally gets like 1 million applications a year, right? Like there's only so many ways you can get your like resume noticed. And that's either by already having worked at a really big company or mostly by having this referral, right? And I realized that like 90% of the battle is getting to the point where you get the interview, and then it's all on you, right? Like getting past the interview. And so when it comes to networking, reaching out to people on LinkedIn, like asking people even that, you know, can you introduce me here? Can you do that? That is such an important thing that I think a lot of people maybe end up missing. And I feel like at the beginning, I also felt like, you know, I don't really need to do this. Like if I'm sick guy, like I can get it done myself. Like, I don't need it, you know, like
Yeah.
whatever. That's for like the like try hard business kids. And I'm like fine on my own. But like, no, like it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to want to meet people. It's okay to want to learn. So like networking more as building genuine relationships with others in the field that you're interested in, I think is really important. And I'll add on just like what I have found to be like the most helpful networking tip for me. That sort of extends beyond just like, you know, cold messaging and cold emailing. That's what I was told. Like you should just be cold messaging people on LinkedIn, just like start cold emailing. And that's important, right? Like send like hundreds of emails and like hopefully one person will respond. But this is more about what you should do once you get that response, right? So when you get that response, you know, you will probably ask them about what like kind of stuff are you doing at your company? I want to learn more. I'm interested in this. So that's all like great because like most of these people, I mean, that's the type of messages they're getting. They're like, oh, people just want to like learn more about stuff and people want to like learn from me. That's like all cool, right? But what sucks for a lot of these people who are offering this advice is that you sort of get one message, you sort of give all this great advice, and that person is just like going to end the conversation with, hey, can I get a referral? You know, and it almost never feels like you can see that person taking action on the advice you've actually given. And so what's, you know, sort of been like a huge paradigm shift for me in terms of like networking. I think in first year, I was cold emailing and cold messaging a lot of people on LinkedIn. And so I ended up in this conversation with a guy. He like responded back to my message. I just wanted to learn more about the place he was working at. And so I asked him, you know, more about like his company, more about what he does in his role. But beyond just like that, I also started asking him about more like personal things, right? Like, Do you have like book recommendations? Are there things that you recommend I could do in like my daily life to like improve as an individual? How can I grow? Stuff like that. So you had like lots of great suggestions for that as well. And so I then, like a week or two later, what I did was I messaged him again. So he recommended me like a couple books to read. I read those books. I made lists of what I got from those books, and I messaged him later. I'm like, hey, I read the books you suggested me. Here are like my takeaways from those books. I thought it was really great. You know, that thing you told me to like start doing in my daily life? Like it was just like a simple habit to start doing, right? And I was like, I started doing this thing. Here's how my life has changed because I started doing this. It's been really great. Like I just told him how I put the things he suggested to me into action and how it's been really helpful to me. And so his first response was just like, whoa, nobody has ever done this before. You actually did the thing I said, you know? And I think from there, so I still, I still interact with this person, and they've become like a mentor to me because they saw as a mentor, so many people want to offer mentorship, but they just don't know who the right person to offer mentorship is to. So if you can show anybody that you're willing to learn from them, you're willing to take what they're suggesting into action, they will be so open to telling you everything that they know and wanting to just help you grow as an individual. And to me, that's what networking is truly about. It's about finding ways that you can provide value to other people, and being open to becoming a mentor. And then on the other side of things, being somebody who is open to learning from others. And in that way, you can build those genuine relationships and just help each other continuously down the line.
Yeah, I think for me as well, like I sort of had that stigma around networking, like, oh, like, is it the right thing to do? Would I be like wasting someone's time if I did it? But this year I really tried to put myself more out there and like sort of do a bit more of what you exactly said. Like if someone responds, then I usually have like a follow-up conversation and talk more about personal stuff, because I feel like networking, despite it having like a professional realm to it, it should also have like a personal realm to like bridge that gap and like build a connection. So I think that's something I've been trying to work on as well. And yeah, I've been finding a lot more success with this, surprisingly. Like it seems like you have also had more success with it in the past. So yeah, that's really cool. And I think building that connection is really valuable as a whole.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah. I can relate to that as well. It's definitely important. The follow up, I feel like a lot of people miss out on that because they just want the referral. But I feel like that's what gets you to build the real personal relationship with the person you're interacting with. So
100%.
So you mentioned that you're a step intern at Google. So you want to tell us like what that entails and like what do you do on a daily basis and stuff?
For sure. Yeah. So the structure in general of the STEP internship changed drastically based on what happened with COVID. And the reason for that was that Google, and this is not just STEP interns, this was with the SWE program as well. They could not really give access to the Google code base to anybody who hadn't worked at Google before. So there's like this concept within like the intern group. It's like you're a restricted intern or you're like an unrestricted intern. So like the unrestricted interns are the ones who've like worked at Google before. And they sort of have more access. But so I'm like a restricted intern. This is like the first time I'm working at Google. So even though I work at Google, I can't actually see any like legit Google business code. And so all the interns, including STEP interns, are working on open source projects. So how the sort of internship looks, I'll talk more about STEP now, is just that I'm in basically a group of 3 kids. It's me and 2 others, and we have 2 managers. These 2 managers are just like software engineers. They're people who are like gonna run the STEP internship and are still doing it because of due to COVID. But we started the first 6 weeks working on simple sort of like web apps, like on our own, just to get everybody to a common space. So that entailed using JavaScript, HTML, CSS, as well as actually Java servlets on the back end, which was new to me. I've used mostly like Node for the back end. So just getting everybody to like a common place for like the first 6 weeks. And then the next 6 weeks. So right now I'm going into like week 10, something like that. Yeah, so the next 6 weeks was working with your group to develop a new web app, essentially. So go from ideation, user research, like making the mocks and doing the design, building a prototype, building an MVP, and then building like an alpha project that you can actually demo and that you can show to your managers. So essentially it's just about like working with others, and regularly my day looks like I'll have stand-up meetings with my team, figure out what everybody's doing, where I suppose we sort of take like an agile approach to it. Figure out what we're doing, like people own different features within the product itself. So we're just working on those things. We're tracking those things on a Kanban board. And every time we submit code, basically it's going to get code reviewed by my 2 group mates, I guess, first. And after we get approval there, your Google like managers are going to do the code review as well. So it's been really great having sort of like that level of feedback. I think on like my first pull request, it just took like a week to like merge, because my managers were like always just like, oh no, fix this, do that. And it was really great, right? Because it's like, oh wow, like this is stuff that I have like no idea how to do before. And I think it's so different from like school. Like in our second year, it was the first time we actually used Git in school. And I feel like we didn't have much guidance at all on like the best practices and everything. And what ended up happening was like everybody just like submits like spaghetti code, and there was like no legit like version control or something. And Asir can probably definitely like relate to this, right? Yeah. So it's really interesting seeing that in like a professional working environment, and how important it actually is to, have those practices in place. Like, I feel like the biggest takeaway I'm getting from this internship is like learning what software engineering actually means, like what the difference between being a software developer and being a software engineer is, and how important it is to be doing, like good practices when you're developing software and collaborating with others. So that's been really great. And while I am missing out on like, all the perks of, I think, being on the Google campus, definitely the free food. I've been thinking about that a lot. They've done, I think, a really good job of making virtual events. And there's lots of like leadership talks. There was like a virtual DJ or something one time too. There's like magic shows. There's lots of like random stuff. It's really cool. And I feel like it's still been really fun. And I'm not like, I thought I'd be disappointed that it went virtual, but it's still been a good experience, and I've enjoyed it overall.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that seems like a very cool experience that Google's providing, and especially everything moving virtual. It's companies are having a difficult time, but it seems like Google is doing their part in making it a good experience for you guys there.
Definitely.
Yeah, also like for my internship as well, like I was so shook when everything was going to move virtual. I was like, oh no, like how am I going to interact with people and build like relationships? But like I think like surprisingly, not only like tech companies, but like companies, like bigger companies as a whole, have adapted relatively well. And I actually think this could be like a wave of the future. Obviously it comes with like its own pros and cons versus like working in person. But for some people it works better, and I think like it could be a wave of the future if things stay like this. But yeah, I think we'll see how that goes. Jawad, do you think we should ask some more questions, or do you think we should transition into our second segment?
I'm good to transition into seconds.
Okay, awesome. Then we'll catch everyone in our next segment. Okay, are you guys ready? Good to go?
Let's go.
Very awesome. Start game. Aradhya starting first. Okay.
All right. All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 letters.
Oh, that's not even 8 letters. Rip.
Oh damn. Not volcano either. Oh, rainforest.
Inaudible. Oh, I spelled volcano wrong. Nice. Is that like a period? Like
there's me in it. Oh. Oh no, that could not be that.
Beach. Yo, is this like a, oh, I think I know what it is. Okay, sick.
Wow.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not guessing this way.
once you added the blue, I was like, oh yeah, that has to be this. Like, okay.
Oh, that was pretty good though. That was
For
pretty good.
context, Jawad lost last time, so Jawad, you can't do this one.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad at this game, I'll be honest.
Odd letters, all right. It's just stop guessing. You haven't drawn it.
Yeah, I haven't
Bro,
drawn
I
it
want to be
yet.
that guy who gets the answer before it's even drawn. That's what I'm trying to do.
All right. You guys should get this. This should be fairly simple.
Okay.
There you go. Let's go.
All right.
Okay, word. Nice. Man, nah.
What?
Oh, that's a messed cloud, but whatever.
What? How is it not sky? Are you serious?
Hey, like, I'll draw like a hint. Like, like.
It's a 3-letter word. What?
Yo,
What?
come on, guys. Come on.
Is it not? Oh, never mind. It doesn't make sense.
Yo, okay, like.
Whack.
Okay, how else can I make this? I don't know. I'll draw like a.
Like, that looks like a wind to me. Oh, it's water. Okay.
Fish?
No. Okay, like it's pointing to the general this entire thing.
That's the ocean, bro.
No, right?
No.
What is this?
What's another word? What's another word for like a body of water?
A lake, bro. But that's a. Oh my god!
No, come on.
God.
I don't know how I also drew the letter C. Like,
Oh my god. Oh my god. All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Oh,
6,
man.
7,
Okay.
8, 9.
I'm so sorry.
yo, I don't know what this is. Oh.
What?
I hate. Monday?
I don't know what ends in
I hate Mondays.
It's so bad. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's so
Close to
ironic
my
given
job.
what we just talked about. Like,
Yeah.
we couldn't get that.
Oh man. 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's 5 letters.
What?
What just happened?
No, China. What?
Yo, ignore me. I didn't write that. I didn't write that.
What?
Yo, come on, bro. Don't dis.
It's like I cannot make it more explicit than this.
Yeah.
What?
Yo, Aradhya, come on, man. This is.
I don't know what else to draw. I'll be honest.
I'm so confused.
Yo, you're disrespecting us out here, bro.
Oh, you can't. Oh, I was typing it. Why Why'd you make it brown?
I was like, maybe like a leaf.
Oh my god! Damn it! Damn, that's major disrespect to my own name.
I apologize in advance, but I don't know if this is going to turn out how I hope. Okay.
Wow.
Hey, let's go. Nice. Okay.
I don't know if writing hazelnut was like allowed.
I know, right? That gave it away. Like
Yeah,
even I got it.
I don't know how else I could indicate it, because if I drew like a brown jar with a cap on it, like I don't know if that would have been good enough. Yo, why are you both kicking it down?
No, my bad. I wanted to do it to you.
Oh my god.
I thought it gave an option.
I'm dead. Yo, why is this word so long? Is it like a company or something? Oh yeah, it is. Why did I say that out loud? Oh my god.
Let's go. That was good. Come on, guys. You got this one.
Oh, okay. Okay. This one should be easy, I think, maybe. Hopefully.
Wait.
Yo, why are you thumbs down on me, bro?
I'm being toxic.
Wait, if I do it too, does he actually get kicked out?
Yeah, he does.
No, don't vote me.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, that's like a watermelon type head.
What is that? Why is his eyes so far away?
Oh my god.
Oh no, this is bad.
What is going on? Is he cooking in the sun?
Oh, okay, sort of. I don't know how else to indicate this. Okay, I'm gonna write something, but it's not gonna be. It's gonna be indirectly related to the word.
Oh.
My mixtape?
Yeah, bro. Gotta be cultured.
Dude. Super
I don't know. What is this? Oh, heat. Oh, what the hell? Damn.
No.
Okay, let's go.
No.
Taking
Can I
the
kick you
card.
now?
We should have kicked him when he got it.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you again, Aradhya, for coming on our show. It was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it. Yeah, do you guys have any final remarks to add before we sign out?
I don't know. Maybe to anybody who's watching this, if you're like younger and you want to get into this field of tech and stuff, like, and it seems hard, just like, don't be afraid. Just do it, and you will definitely not regret it.
Awesome. Yes. Wise words to stick by. Yeah. Again, thank you again for joining us on the tekBubl, and we'll see you next time. Take care.